Hi guys.
It's now March.
Yeah, and we called that, didn't we? So yeah, it's been winter is kind of easing out.
It's
Spring.
mostly over with the cold snaps
hmm
here and there.
But spring is putting its footstep in the door. Anyways, yeah, we mostly hibernated this winter, as we called it, and just enjoyed just being in the house and having space, and it really worked out the way we thought it would. We did resolve the hot water issue shortly after the last video. Um, it took me, I was ready to buy a secondary inline water heater to meet the capacity, but then I got into a forum and there was a guy in Alaska and he was having the same issue.
Where the water just wasn't getting hot enough.
Yeah, and he had plumbers come out and he couldn't resolve it. Finally, he figured out when he called a gas guy out that it was the regulator coming off of the propane. It wasn't rated high enough to produce that heat. So I was like, okay, it can't be that simple. I ordered a new regulator, rated for a lot higher BTUs, and voila! Once it was installed, it magically resolved itself, and we have had scorching hot water.
Scorching hot. Like sometimes we have to turn it down now because it does make it so wonderfully hot, which I mean, for the winter is awesome. Now that it's starting to warm up, we're going to have to do some adjusting again. But really hot water, awesome for dishes, awesome for showers. Yes,
Yeah.
I accept.
uh, Shelly taking the initiative to totally insulate underneath where we ran the pipes coming from the pump house all the way to everything that's supplied in the house. Really paid off dividends over the course of the winter. We only had the pipes freeze one time, and
Nothing busted.
it didn't crack any of the pipes. It just froze. Uh, so that's a combination of the insulation and the CPVC. Excuse me, the PEX, using PEX
Rather than
rather
PVC.
than PVC, using the PEX and the insulation, and it thawed within 3 hours of the sun coming up. It was just overnight that it froze.
Mm-hmm.
So huge win on that front. Super stoked about that. Um, so recent things that have happened is we actually have internet now at the house. So
We finally, it's technically now we're on grid for that because it does hardwire out to the internet line, which runs up our neighborhood. So luckily, it wasn't much for them to just tap it in, dig a trench, hook, done.
and it's fiber optic, so super fast speed. I was really pleased because like the outside batting boards on the wall were the perfect width to put the box that they wanted to mount, and I was like, oh, this was meant to be. So that is still the only thing that we're connected to. We're still on well, and we're still off grid as far as power goes, but we do have internet hooked up now.
With winter, of course, we weren't getting as much sun, so our solar panels didn't do, as much, but we would still only have to run the generator maybe on the weekends for a couple hours just to boost up the system.
And we put a
Um,
secondary trickle charger on there so that it actually charged the batteries. I mean, you're charging four batteries, four 12 volt deep cycle marine batteries. So one trickle charger really was taking 6 to 8 hours to charge, whereas by adding that secondary charger,
even though it's a smaller one,
it we
it
were able to get
boosted
a
it.
full charge on all batteries from dead to charged in less than 4 hours. So I think that was a win as
Yeah.
well. Saved on the gas. I mean, this is before the gas prices went up still, but who wants to spend money on gasoline to run a generator?
And that's kind of not the point, like to run off gas if you're going to be off grid. So it was really nice to be able to supply our own energy with the setup we have right now and supplement just a little bit here and there with the generator.
Now we did run the propane heater, the Big Buddy heater, all winter time to provide for our heating needs. But if I had to guess, I would say what we were getting 2 to 3 times as much longevity for each canister that we used.
Yeah, versus being in the camper.
Yeah. So definitely, even with the prices jumping up in propane, I really feel like we came out ahead.
I think we did too. Again, and again, that's insulation and having a bigger space, but the heavier insulation. We were comfy, cozy, nice and warm. It stayed well in here even when we were gone and the heater wasn't running. It would heat up pretty quickly and then maintain heat. Most nights we'd either have it
Yeah,
on
we'd get it up
low
to
or
temperature and cut it off and go to bed.
yeah,
Now, during the deep part of the winter when it was really cold, yeah, we had to keep it on low for the night.
yeah.
Sometimes medium if it was super cold.
That's when it's like 12 degrees outside.
Yeah, but for the majority of the time, no. It's like wake up, get a temperature, turn it off, blah. You know, so it wasn't really bad at all.
No.
I did to be fancy when my mom and my stepdad Leo came out to visit. Uh, Shelly made me hook up the stove before they got out here because she didn't want to be all.
I didn't want to have to cook off the camping stove. Not when you have a stove and you have an oven. We wanted to be able to use it and be like, look at us, we're fancy.
And so I hooked up the stove before they got out here. It's been kind of nice because now when we go grocery shopping, nobody wants to cook after they go grocery shopping. So it's been nice that you can pick up a couple of frozen pizzas, throw them in the oven, and have pizzas on that night. And
Cornbread,
cornbread.
um, the chicken. We've been able to bake again, and like I've been thinking about it in all my years of living off grid. I've so rarely had an oven that I don't do a lot of baking. So now that's available. Not that I'm gonna get like super into baking because I'm not that much of a cook, but it's available. It's there if I want to. It's just nice. It
Yeah,
really is.
absolutely.
I even baked bacon again, which is one of my favorite things to do because I love bacon. And baking bacon is just easier, cleaner. Heck, I even baked eggs.
You
I,
did.
I
Yeah.
tried it out because I had seen it and I'm like, oh, I don't have an oven. Oh, wait, now I do. So, yeah.
So that was great. We I I'm going to show you. I got a lot done on the painting over the winter. I'm not done yet, okay, but I made a lot of progress.
We're gonna
Um,
show you the inside. Mind you,
we live here,
we live
okay,
here. So it's gonna be a little messy. It's not like perfect showcase home and garden fashion.
and the maid had the day off, so don't judge me.
I was in the garden.
Yeah. Anyways, we actually changed the projector. We've been using the projector a lot. It's
Yeah.
really cool. It's kind of like being in a movie theater because you have such a big screen that you're projecting these movies onto, whatever you're streaming, whatever. And it's nice because sometimes for church services and everything, we'll throw that up there as well if we can't attend in person. So it's really nice. But anyways, we'll show you all that because now the screen rolls up and down. Put it on a roller track.
So it's a nice, easy little chain that you pull. You know, like the old school in your classroom when they put down the projector, there's the chain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll show you. We'll show you.
Get a little gun on.
All right. So everything's same here. Obviously, the camping stove isn't on top of the stove anymore.
Right.
Because
Beautiful and working and like.
Oh, look at that! You can make fire. We got a little bit more decorations, a little bit of shelving to keep our little spices on.
Thank you, Mia, for the picture.
Thank you, Mia. It's beautiful. This is the picture that we took while we were at Dollywood when my mom and Leo were out. So we keep that up here. Got our nice little wine rack. We are saving the longevity one. We're not going to be drinking that one.
I think this is the year that we moved out here. Yeah, 2018 is when we moved out here. So that's going to kind of be our bottle to anniversary this house.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
property, this development. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, our fridge worked out great all the time with the timer on it and everything like that. So here is the painting I've been working on. A lot more detail in it. And Shelly's going to roll down that so you can see.
Little chain right here. and you just pull it down, and it brings that down. And then if you want it up, you just pull the chain the other way, and it goes right back up.
There we go. So, fancy dancy.
And we've got like our fancy stuffs and things and whatnots. Of course, with stuff coming out, then you have space to put stuff out.
And we have quite a collection of board games now, and they kept us highly entertained over the winter.
Couple projects to make one. We got a chessboard idea that we're making so far. We got the pieces at least made. I just need to get on to doing the board.
Yeah. So we're going to take you outside real quick and show you what we've been up to out there.
As you can see, today's beautiful, sunshiny. Pretty decent too. I thought it called for it to only be in the 60s, but it's definitely feeling more 70s. So our lovely front porch patio.
I still need to pour the concrete for it and everything like that, but I mean, it's a lot more cleaned up than it was before out here. Before, our driveway was a hot mess. Anytime it rained, it was just slippery. It got to the point where we could not get our vehicles in and out of the driveway if it rained.
We almost could not walk it because you'd sink down into the clay because the ice would pick up the clay, and it'd be like weird ground icicles coming up out of the ground.
And your shoes were muddy and everything was muddy, and it was just no fun.
We even got towed out of our own driveway because we couldn't get the vehicles out. It was awful.
Yeah. And then just thank you very much to Shane Warren and the Ben Church. They helped us to expedite to get this lovely gravel out here. We got 22 tons of gravel that was laid out. But let me tell you, our driveway was so bad that the gravel truck could not even get in to spread the gravel. So our wonderful neighbor Jimmy actually got out here with his old tractor
John Deere tractor
and box blade and actually helped us spread all this to save us from killing ourselves with
shoveling and bucketing, because a bucket is not for 22 tons of rock.
No. But I mean, we were just truly blessed all around, just from those connections of people that we know, people wanting to help us, and extremely grateful. Extremely grateful. So this has been a huge improvement for us, is the driveway now. We finished getting the pump house all lined out. Still need to go back and paint over it on the ends and everything, but you can see now it has
our fancy door covers that kind of match with the house. There we go. Yeah.
So everything's in there. That's our well house. It's got, the 275-gallon tank. It goes over to that shear flow pump, and then to the pressure tank, and then out to the house. We have had a heat lamp in there that we run on occasion over the winter, just to make sure it doesn't freeze. Solar panels obviously have been doing great in the new spot that the neighbors helped us move them to. Very stoked about that. I really enjoyed the visit with the mom, and that was my first time to be to Dollywood as well. They seemed to really enjoy it as well.
Yeah, it was a great set of shows, a really easy, loving people. Of course, with everything going on, they didn't have as full staff, so not everything was open. But those that were there were really helping make sure that the park kept its spirit.
And had a
for
good
Christmas,
experience.
that was just, it was very beautiful, and I'm very thankful that we all got to go share that together.
Absolutely. So now that hibernation is over, we'll talk about a little bit of the projects that are on the bucket list to get done this year. Goals. All right, so we told you about this huge swath here that we had dug out by the bulldozer. All right, this originally was going to be the spot where we put a shipping container, and it would be our tornado shelter, our cold food storage, and garage for motorcycles. However, with the price of metal going up and shipping container prices going up, I've actually been collecting these tires from work that I get for free. Just have to haul them, and this is the first load that I'm going to start with. But I'm going to use something called Earthship Construction, and that is how we're going to build this. I think we said 14 by 40
Yeah.
is the size that we're going to go for. So 14 foot across and then 40 foot long. Of that 40 feet, 20 foot will be for the garage, 10 foot for the tornado shelter, and then another 10 foot was going to be for the cold food storage. So we're going to get started on that this year. So a lot of digging, a lot of posts, a lot of setting those. Once the posts are here, we'll put gravel, then I'll cement, and then we'll get that all watertight, sealed up, and it's going to be great.
Packing tires.
Packing tires, packing tires.
Shovel dirt, pack. It's going to be very labor intensive,
but it's free. So that's one of the things right here. We pushed very, very hard to get into the house before last winter time, and as a result of that, I put a lot of stuff, insulation, things we needed, on credit cards. So now this year, we're going to focus on paying those off, and by doing that, we can focus on things that are free that we already have the materials to do. Finishing the ceiling inside the house. We already have all the pallet wood, we have the paint. So it's just a question about getting out here, putting in the time, putting in the effort, painting those boards, getting them up, cut to size, whatever they need to be. Shelly's also started prepping on the garden. I'm going to have this vehicle should be gone this week. I got a scrap guy coming out that's going to get it out of my way because I no longer need it. I don't need any more parts off of it.
Travel on up here to the garden. Well, you've seen the small little box one. I've taken the plastic off of it because one, it was mostly destroyed, and two, we're done with a lot of the frost. And as you can see, like the rosemary still doing quite well. The thyme's coming up, held on really well. I think some of the oregano is already coming back. Lavender, green onion, all of those things survived very well out here. So this year, hopefully just get this a little better maintained, let them finish growing up, and then in the winter again, I'll probably fix this a little better to stabilize it and then recover it again for a winter greenhouse. And in our big garden yard, been working on it. Some of the past videos you saw, our dog had destroyed a lot of the garden beds, jumping up on them, digging at them, laying in them. Not the greatest. So I had to take a lot of them apart and rebuild them. This one I had started composting in, so I used a lot of the dirt from this spot to fill in the other beds. And then I moved our tire thing back over here because this is how we do our potatoes. So I've already got at least those 2 tires filled up so we could start some potatoes in there. As they grow up, we could add another tire, fill it back in, add another tire, fill it back in till they're ready. And then when we're done, we just go, tackle, harvest. Today I worked on this one specifically. Kind of shortened it, built it up a little bit. The walls had really died off, so was able to reuse some of the other wood stuffs that we built that didn't work out. Reused it, made some better walls here. So this looks like some really awesome, good soil. Really lovely worms in here. As I was digging, like huge, chunky, fatty, lovely worms.
And we had just picked up like 3 of the little bait shop store worm containers and just dumped them randomly in these just for that purpose.
So you can see like some of these have still got a lot of composting to do. So we are going to pick up a little bit of soil to add into these garden beds. But I'm hoping with the 5 beds that are now at least rebuilt, stabilized for this year's use, been churning the soil, got to amend it a little bit with some other stuff. Thinking they're gonna be doing good this year. I don't know if this lemongrass survived winter out here, but luckily I did save a section inside, so we'll be able to get that back out, let it take over again, bloom out. This lemongrass is really good and it's bee happy kind of plant. I already did put some seeds down for the bell peppers, but we're gonna get tomatoes and basil over in here, watermelon, marigolds, strawberries, beans, peas, other stuff. I forget my list, my whole list.
That's
And summer squash and stuff. So doing a cross between companion planting as well as like crop rotation kind of thing, and making sure that these plants will help each other grow as well as ward off insects, because we've had some problems with the insects coming by and just destroying everything. So we're gonna do a little. I'm gonna try to give a little more attention to gardening this year.
one of the other projects that we're going to try to accomplish this year is right in this area. Uh, at the end of the garden, I'm going to start trying to do some aquaponics, uh, raising some fish, and I think that's just going to help us be better suited for barter, as well as providing a meat source for us that is kind of less, takes up a lot less area than cows. Uh, but I mean, we have a neighbor that has cattle that he butchers, and he has chickens, he has pigs.
But he doesn't have fish.
He doesn't have fish. So you know, maybe if we're growing fish, and hey, I'll trade you 2 pounds of fish for 2 pounds of beef. You know, whatever, things like that. So all about trying to figure out what can we use in a barter system to where we can meet our needs and help our neighbors meet their needs as well. That's all I got. What do you think?
Oh, well, so we did snag up some honeysuckle. I think I snagged it up actually middle of winter.
Hold on, let me flip the camera.
So we have honeysuckle that does grow out wild, crazy down by the mailboxes. And I was able to get some pieces, and when I brought it home, I was able to get it to root. Cinnamon in your water to make things root works very well. And once it started getting a good enough roots growing, I planted it out here probably a month ago already. So we were still getting cold snaps, we were still getting a couple snows, and look at that, it's still doing beautifully. I think that's really going to help in growing out and kind of providing a front shield for this property. Like, you know, you want to be out in your yard, and you want to be able to be out in your yard and not just be on display for everyone. So it's got to provide like a privacy screen. The passion fruit or lilikoi, those have yet to come back this year from our previous plants, but I have talked with a local horticulturist, and she seems to know where to be able to get some and has some. So once they start sprouting and doing well, I'm thinking we're gonna get some good clippings of a local variety
It's already established in the climate, acclimatized.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna be really lucky with that this year, and I'm hopeful because that's another wonderful vining plant, food producing, that can also assist in providing like a privacy shield, so screen.
Yeah.
You know, because on the front of the property, you want it to look pretty, you want it to still be food, but you know, it's like a window into your world. Screen.
Well, guys, as always, we do appreciate you checking in on us. Apologize that this video went a little bit longer than we normally do, but we had a lot of catching up to do to tell you about everything that happened for winter and what our plans are for this year. Continue to check in on us. We're going to continue to do our updates like we normally do.
About monthly.
And
yay for spring.
Yay for spring. Have a good one.